Welcome to This Explainer. Seriously, I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we are tackling a topic that literally has the potential to revolutionize your life. But let's be honest for a second. Have you ever been praying and just felt like absolutely nothing is changing? You're crying out, you're doing everything right, but somehow your breakthrough just feels totally stuck. Honestly, it is incredibly frustrating to feel like you've hit this massive spiritual wall.
If you're nodding your head right now thinking, yep, that is exactly where I'm at, listen, you are not alone. You're probably constantly asking, what else can I even do? Well, maybe it's time to add something new to your spiritual discipline. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to add fasting to your prayer life. And hey, fasting isn't just some dusty, ancient religious practice. As we're going to see, it's a dynamic, powerful spiritual discipline that aligns your heart directly with God's power. Okay, let's dive into this. Jesus actually hit the nail on the head in Mark chapter 9. He stated very clearly that there are certain spiritual battles out there that simply cannot be won by prayer alone, right? They require a much deeper level of surrender. When those walls absolutely refuse to crumble, it's not about you trying to be stronger, it's actually about making room for God's strength. And fasting? Well, fasting is that ultimate surrender.
Now, don't worry if this whole thing sounds a bit intimidating. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Why fast for breakthrough, 2. 4 ways to fast, 3. A step-by-step beginner's guide, 4. What to expect and avoid, and finally, 5. The rewards of surrender. By the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to have a highly grounded, actionable plan.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Why Fast for Breakthrough. We're going to look at the actual spiritual mechanics of fasting.
So fasting is an ancient spiritual weapon. Jesus fasted for 40 days, Esther fasted to save her entire people, and the early church fasted before making these massive, history-altering decisions. But we really need to shatter the myths most of us grew up with. Fasting is absolutely not about deprivation. It's not about punishing yourself or earning points or trying to twist God's arm to get what you want. Not at all. Instead, it is entirely about devotion. It's literally replacing your physical hunger with spiritual hunger. You aren't forcing God to move, you're just softening your own heart so that He can move. Think of fasting like a giant volume dial. You are essentially turning down the blaring, chaotic noise of the world so that you can finally turn up the volume of God's voice. When you silence your flesh and those physical desires, it humbles your soul, and suddenly your spirit becomes incredibly sharp and sensitive to God's direction. You'll find the scriptures start to just come alive, and your prayers, they feel remarkably deeper.
Moving right along to Section 2, 4 ways to fast. This is all about finding the right approach for you.
Now, I want to reassure you right out of the gate, you absolutely do not have to start with a 40-day wilderness trek with zero food to see profound spiritual results. There are 4 main approaches you can take. First up, the complete fast, which is just water. This one is really for short periods and deep consecration. Second is the partial or Daniel fast. This entails simple fruits, vegetables, and water. This is perfect if you need to maintain your physical strength over a longer period of time. Third, the intermittent fast. Honestly, this is highly beginner-friendly. You just skip 1 or 2 meals a day and use that exact hour to seek God. And finally, the non-food or media fast. Look, if you have health limitations, you can fast from distractions like social media or TV to give God your undivided focus.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Let's get into Section 3, our step-by-step beginner's guide.
If you've been wondering how to literally get off the couch and start, here are your 5 sequential steps. First, prepare your heart. Don't just stop eating. Start seeking. Ask God what He wants to show you. Second, set a clear goal. Be super specific here. Don't just say, I'm gonna fast. Say, I will fast 1 meal a day for 3 days to seek guidance on my career. See the difference? Third, replace those meals with prayer and reading the Word. Fourth, stay hydrated and rest. Seriously, don't push your body to exhaustion. The goal here is spiritual strength, not physical burnout. And fifth, end your fast gently. Please, I beg you, don't celebrate with a massive all-you-can-eat buffet. Ease back into it with light foods like soup or fruit. Let the physical gentleness of ending your fast mirror the spiritual gentleness of God's presence.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. If you skip food, but you don't actually pray, well, you're literally just dieting. Fasting only becomes a spiritual weapon when it's paired with connection. To help you out, here are 3 perfect starting scriptures to read during the time you'd normally be eating. Isaiah 58, which beautifully breaks down God's chosen fast. Psalm 63, which perfectly captures a soul thirsting for God. And Matthew 6, where Jesus teaches exactly how to approach fasting the right way.
Which brings us to Section 4, what to expect and avoid. We're going to navigate the physical and spiritual realities here.
Let's be totally realistic for a second. Fasting is not easy. It shakes things up and it tends to bring a lot of hidden internal realities right up to the surface. So here's what you should actually expect. First, physical discomfort. Things like headaches, tiredness, or getting completely hangry. That is simply your body detoxing from its deep dependence on food. Second, expect incredible spiritual clarity. As your body quiets down, your spirit wakes up, and you're going to start sensing God's whispers and convictions much more clearly. Third, expect an emotional release. Fasting exposes what's hidden in the heart, so sudden surges of anger, pride, or fear might just bubble up. But listen carefully to this. God brings these things up not to shame you, but to heal you. So whatever you do, don't run from what the fast reveals.
Now let's rapid fire through 4 common pitfalls you definitely want to avoid. Mistake 1, fasting to impress people. Keep it a secret between you and God. Basically, keep it off social media. Mistake 2, fasting without prayer. Like we said earlier, that's just spiritual starvation, not transformation. Mistake 3, being way too hard on yourself. Look, if you mess up and eat a cookie, don't quit. God looks at your heart, not some dangerous standard of perfection. And mistake 4, ignoring health limitations. Always seek medical wisdom first if you're on medication or have health issues. Fasting is about seeking connection, for sure, but it is not about harming your body.
Finally, we made it to Section 5, the rewards of surrender. Let's talk about the spiritual payoff.
We've talked a lot about the physical sacrifice, but now we really need to look at the immense spiritual payoff that fasting unlocks. Just listen to this powerful promise from Isaiah 58:8. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. I absolutely love that. Every single time you fast, something changes. Even if you can't feel it immediately in that exact moment, you have to know that God is moving and shifting things behind the scenes.
Let's move to and see how this all builds. Because when you prioritize God over your own physical comfort, it translates into real, tangible rewards. You reset your priorities and unlock fresh clarity for your life's direction. Strongholds and addictions actually begin to break. Your prayers suddenly carry this entirely new weight and authority. Your heart finds a profound stillness, peace, and confidence. And honestly, most importantly, you step into a much deeper intimacy with God's presence. It is a complete and total spiritual reset.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, lingering question. What breakthrough are you waiting for? Seriously, don't overthink it. And definitely don't wait for the perfect time. Aim for connection, not perfection. Start small today. Maybe just skip one meal tomorrow and replace that time with prayer. Take that very first step of surrender, and just watch what happens when you finally turn down the noise of the world to turn up the volume of God. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I honestly can't wait to hear about the breakthroughs you experience.